Here is a film report by Richard Kotuk.
This is Mark Twain Junior High School, a segregated school in the heart of Coney Island's black and Puerto Rican ghetto. 82% of its students are non-white, even though District 21's 7 other junior highs are predominantly white. Last January, federal judge Jack Weinstein ruled that Mark Twain must be integrated by this fall.
I don't think people should go to Mark Twain because 85% of it is Puerto Rican and Negro.
What does that have to do with it?
You just won't feel good there.
What do you mean?
It won't be right. You just won't have the feelings. You feel scared. How about all of us together? We were here first. And then we could get along fine. I mean, we got along with the rest of them. Why can't we get along with more of them?
Would you welcome them here?
Yes, we will all welcome them. I guess we all will. We welcome the people that come now, why not other people? They got skin, everything we got, they got it.
The neighborhood, nobody's civilized. They all act like animals. Everyone tries to kill each other and everything. And my mother wouldn't want me to come find a phone call or something and find out that I'm dead.
Treat them just like I treat everybody else. It's my friends. I'm serious. They ain't no different than nobody else.
They're just a different color, that's all.
Judge Weinstein's ruling marks the first time a New York City school has been declared segregated by a federal judge. And Weinstein has told the community school board to integrate Mark Twain, not just by busing Coney Island blacks and Puerto Ricans out into white neighborhoods, but by the compulsory busing of white students into Mark Twain.
I am against busing by anybody who has to say to me, your child must go. I do not hear. My child goes to the school in the area in which I live. I live here because I like it. I like the schools here. And I'm not living here to send my child anywhere. And I'm not talking about Coney Island. I'm talking about anywhere. My kid, and I feel that I can speak for the parents. In this school, our children go to school where we live, where we have peace of mind, where 3 o'clock they're home, they're not traveling, and they're walking. And that's the way school is, and always will be for us.
I can't see the sense to my child going on a bus. I don't know where he's going. I don't know anything about that neighborhood. After all, if I spend $60,000 for a home, I'm certainly not going to send my kid 17 miles away or whatever.
What if the court says he has to go?
The court says it? Well, he's paying my taxes? Right. He's paying my taxes? I'll move away. I go somewhere else. He can't tell me where to go.
They want these neighborhoods. Don't you understand that these neighborhoods are the last good neighborhood and they want it? St. Mary's is the parochial school, and if they do this to Catholic schools are going to make a lot of money.
They don't have room in the Catholic schools.
Well, they'll make room.
They won't stand right here. We will not. This is our school.
These women are from Gravesend in Brooklyn, a blue-collar working-class community of Italian Americans just north of Coney Island. The sidewalks here are clean and lined with modest 2-family homes. Most of these people have worked hard all their lives to live where there are good schools and churches and safe streets.
I was born here, and most of these kids that go to PS 95 and go to junior high school, they've been here so many years, the families. They feel that the school belongs to them. Most of this area here, if you check, I think every family contributed 1 or 2 sons to the Vietnamese War or World War II or whatever war. We didn't shirk our duties, and we have something to say about what school our kids are going to go to.
What the Gravesend parents are afraid of is this: Central Coney Island. Here, 45% of the population lives below the poverty level. Welfare, crime, and homicide rates are high, and the educational level at Mark Twain Junior High is the lowest in the district. To understand how Mark Twain became a segregated school, it's important to know what happened to the community of Coney Island. After World War II, Coney Island began to deteriorate. What was once a good neighborhood of 2 and 4 family homes and wooden summer bungalows became run down as middle-class people moved into new apartment houses and out to the suburbs. By the mid-'60s, slum clearance, public housing, state and federal urban renewal were underway. The idea was to rebuild Coney Island, to provide new housing for the poor and middle class. But although the city and state have built more than 3,000 apartment units and more are planned, supposedly for middle-income families, the people who end up living in them are overwhelmingly poor, Puerto Rican, and black. The reason is that most white families no longer want to live in the area. And so, what's been created here is a new high-rise ghetto. And since this area alone feeds students into Mark Twain Junior High, segregation in Coney Island housing has made for segregation at Mark Twain.
Well, because I live here all my life, and I've seen the rise and fall of Coney Island. It was beautiful. It has been the most beautiful school in the world, the most beautiful teachers, the most beautiful children, beautiful parents, PTAs that were fantastic. And then little by little, all the kids were going. They were all moving out. What happened? Where did everybody go? And where did everybody else come from? And who let it happen? And why? Those are the people, but it's too late now. What can anybody do about it? That they let this happen to Mark Twain.
What happened? Stop beating around the bush.
All the white children left. This is it. This is it. I can't get no white people here. This is just what he said.
I said, you can't get what you want.
Not what I want, it's what we want.
You don't want it.
You don't
I don't want it, so they don't want it.
This is what they did to my Coney Island. They took my Coney Island away.
This ain't just
from
that
me.
Coney Island City. Everybody.
My home. It was my home before you were born.
No, before you was born. Right?
What did you say?
This your home? This dump
I was
your
born
home?
here.
This is a dump. This dump is your home?
But it wasn't the dump.
It still is a dump.
But it wasn't a
Was
dump.
don't count.
What was it, Pauline?
It was the most beautiful place on the map in the United States.
How you know
Coney
that?
Island.
But it's not just Coney Island segregated housing that's made Mark Twain a segregated school. The racial composition of the school is largely determined by its feeder patterns. That is, by which graduating elementary students are zoned into it. Judge Weinstein found that District 21's local and community school boards had deliberately manipulated feeder patterns so that Mark Twain would get only black and Puerto Rican children. At the same time, the school boards ensured that white children from Gravesend and Bensonhurst would attend only white junior highs in or near their neighborhoods. And so the fact is that in the 10 years between 1962 and 1973, Mark Twain went from an 80% white to an 80% non-white school. At Mark Twain, the educational effects of segregation are apparent. Its students are the poorest readers in District 21. Only 14% of them read at or above grade level, and most 8th grade students are reading at only a 5th grade pace. The school has an extensive remedial reading program supported in part by federal funds, but although teachers try hard, reading scores just don't go up.
It's my feeling that most of the problems of the junior high school children, not only in this school, but in many schools like this school, is that the children have met with nothing but failures through the elementary grades. They don't have to be told. They know that they have failed. They know that they have gotten bad report cards. They know that their parents are constantly being called to school to be questioned about why children aren't doing better work. And by the time they become young teenagers, as they are when they get to the junior high school level, unfortunately they have this negative feeling about themselves.
And the heaven full of stars over my head, white and topaz and misty red.
But while at Mark Twain, kids are trying to learn to read, children at mainly white Booty Junior High in nearby Gravesend are analyzing poetry.
Why is this called an extended metaphor? Meaning extended, sir?
I think it's because the whole poem is a metaphor.
Very good.
Because of students' poor academic records, officials at Mark Twain have set up what they call sub-schools of special interest. In reality, vocational courses like sewing, woodworking, and ceramics, as well as a good deal of physical education. But while students at Mark Twain are spending whole afternoons in the gym, kids at Booty are already taking courses that will help them get into college.
I quaderni neri. Il corpo piccolo, classe.
At Mark Twain, there's also a form of academic segregation. There are now 7 academic classifications of students in the school. But in spite of the high ratio of minority to white students, the top academic levels are populated almost entirely by whites. In the lowest levels, pupils are almost all Puerto Rican and black. Based on these findings, Judge Weinstein declared that education at Mark Twain is at once separate and unequal as compared with other schools in the district. And some black parents with children in Coney Island's elementary schools, children who will eventually end up going to Mark Twain, aren't happy with the situation.
Integrated or close it?
Why?
Huh? Because it's not a school. That's nothing now. You was there? I don't have any going there yet. The only thing they actually learn is basketball and football. How's he going to get anywhere with that? Everybody doesn't become a basketball star or a football star.
The Italians of Gravesend aren't the only ones upset by Judge Weinstein's decision. Until recently, middle-class, mostly Jewish residents of the Warbass and Trump Village houses just east of Coney Island sent their children to virtually all-white intermediate school 303 in their own neighborhood. But the community school board, even while it was rezoning children from Bensonhurst and Gravesend out of Mark Twain, began to bus some minority children from Coney Island into 303. Parents were unhappy as they saw their school tipping away from being exclusively white. And now Judge Weinstein has told them that many of their children must be bused into Mark Twain.
Our reaction is that if any of our children are taken out of 303 and bused into Mark Twain, 303 will become what Mark Twain is in all black schools. And besides that, our children will not be bused out of the area. When there is a neighborhood school, they should go to it. And it's fair and square. Our children are taking the brunt of everything that's happening. They have been used as pawns before, and they will not be used again.
The reality of the community is that if they have to bus their children, they will leave the community.
Who? The people in this community?
In this community. The white community will leave the community. And then we're going to disrupt the entire community, and I believe this is a wonderful, beautiful, stable community, one of the last strongholds of this city.
Why should we become another Mark Twain when this is basically a white area? And if it is a white area, you have basically white children in the school.
These people just moved into this community, of Brighton especially. They're new in the community. They're living there approximately 2 or 3 years. They're just getting acclimated to this community. And then they just built their institutions. They put in a lot of money. Millions of dollars went into these institutions. And then you're saying to them, we're going to disrupt this community. What happened to your community there, we're going to do right here again. Can you just imagine what the reaction of these people is going to be?
What about the kids in Coney Island? Why don't those kids go to school in Coney Island? Why should they come here? Or our kids should go there. Let them stay where they are and let our kids stay here.
Why are you against busing your children?
Because I don't want my child to go into Coney Island. I'm from Coney Island originally. Now I wouldn't even walk in there. I don't feel like getting killed.
It is a question of survival. Because survival of the community that problem does not come up only when the community is already being decimated. The survival of the community is already a question when it's being built.
The board is going to attempt to graduate from Mark Twain.
Responding to Judge Weinstein's order to end segregation at Mark Twain, the community school board has come up with a plan to turn it into a special school for the gifted.
Into the 10th grade.
Under the plan, all of the district's SP, or rapid advanced classes, will be moved to Mark Twain, and qualified children could voluntarily attend. Blacks and Puerto Ricans from Coney Island, though, most of whom couldn't qualify, would be involuntarily bused into mainly white junior highs in the district. No whites would be forcibly bused. But community reaction to the idea, in fact to any change in the educational status quo, has been negative. And at a recent school board meeting, parents were still distrustful and unconvinced.
To me, as a parent, I thought the plan sounded like out-and-out blackmail. In order to achieve integration at this school, many children will be sacrificed. SP children will be pawns thrown to the wolves. In order to continue the rapid advancement of our SP children, we are forced to send them to Mark Twain. Today I drove through Coney Island to look at this area that surrounds Mark Twain. It reminded me of something out of a hellhole and all that is rotten. Buildings decayed and boarded up and ripped open. God only knows what goes on in these ripped open buildings. The streets are strewn with garbage and piled as high as the cars. Rats are on the loose. The area is proved to be a high crime area. Drugs are pushed openly. Rape is not an unfamiliar word. Gangs of toughs roam the streets. To send your 11 and 12-year-old children on these same streets is tantamount to leading innocent lambs to slaughter.
They label me a bigot and a reactionary. Well, maybe I am. But just let me make one point. Let's all be very sure to remember that this has to be a united effort if we are to keep our children where they belong. Allow one child, any child, to be forced to attend Mark Twain without parental consent, and we might as well say goodbye to our homes, our neighborhoods, and our cities.
I am not saying that this board isn't favor or against it, but what I am saying to you is that Judge Weinstein has control of this district as a federal judge.
Absolutely.
That please, now I am an attorney and I'm talking with experience, and I am saying to you that in Little Rock, which hit the newspapers, the federal judge ordered federal marshals to implement his plan. Now we can get up and turn around and say we disagree with the judge. But I am saying to you that the judge has the legal power to implement his plan.
The judge, with all the powers he has, and all the powers there are on the face of this earth, unless, of course, it's beyond my ability, nobody's going to abuse my children. I don't care what kind of powers he has.
This board is aware of your needs, your rights. And this board says we will appeal the judge's decision. Now the board has come up with a plan that serves two purposes. One, that your child will not be forced bused, that if you believe in the neighborhood school concept, they will go to the neighborhood school concept and they will not be bused into Mark Twain. Now, just a second, please. I want to finish my point. Because, you see, we have been working with this community, but this community wants the entire cake and wants to eat it. Just a minute. And will not give in one iota.
Despite community opposition, the School for the Gifted plan has been approved by the board. But if Judge Weinstein rejects it, and in the fall orders that Mark Twain be fully integrated by the compulsory busing of whites, the white communities of Gravesend and Bensonhurst may not comply. Their reaction could well be one of frustration and anger, as the middle class as well as the poor struggle to keep what's most important to them, the education of their children.
Why shouldn't we be integrated here? This country is integrated, right? Why should we have a segregated school here? You understand what I mean? The children want to unite. They should unite for the future, right?
Unfortunately, somebody always suffers more than somebody else. I feel very badly for them. But in all sincerity, I have to tell you that my children come first.
Judge Weinstein's ruling marks the first time a New York City school has been declared segregated by a federal judge. And Weinstein has told the community school board to integrate Mark Twain, not just by busing Coney Island blacks and Puerto Ricans out into white neighborhoods, but by the compulsory busing of white students into Mark Twain.
I am against busing by anybody who has to say to me, your child must go. I do not hear. My child goes to the school in the area in which I live. I live here because I like it. I like the schools here, and I'm not living here to send my child anywhere.
It won't be right. You just won't have the feeling. You feel scared. How about all of us together? And then we could all get along fine. I mean, we got along with the rest of them. Why can't we get along with more of them?
Would you welcome them here?
Yes, we will all welcome them. I guess we all will. We welcome the people that come now, why not other people? They got skin, everything we got, they got it.
The neighborhood, nobody's civilized. They all act like animals. Everyone tries to kill each other and everything. And my mother wouldn't want me to come home, find a phone call or something and find out that I'm dead.
Treat them just like I treat everybody else. It's my friends. I'm serious. They ain't no different than nobody else. They just a different color, that's all.
Here is a film report by Richard Kotuk.
This is Mark Twain Junior High School, a segregated school in the heart of Coney Island's black and Puerto Rican ghetto. 82% of its students are non-white, even though District 21's 7 other junior highs are predominantly white. Last January, federal judge Jack Weinstein ruled that Mark Twain must be integrated by this fall.
I don't think people should go to Mark Twain because 85% of it is Puerto Rican and Negro, because...
What does that have to do with it?
You just won't feel good there.
What do you mean?
You can't tell me where to go.
They want these neighborhoods. Don't you understand that these neighborhoods, the last good neighborhood, and they want it. St. Mary's is the parochial school, and if they do this to Catholic school, Catholic schools are going to make a lot of money.
They don't
That's
have
all.
room in the Catholic schools.
Well, they'll have to make room.
No, they won't. We'll stand right here. We will not. This is our school.
These women are from Gravesend in Brooklyn, a blue-collar working-class community of Italian Americans just north of Coney Island. The sidewalks here are clean and lined with modest two-family homes. Most of these people have worked hard all their lives to live where there are good schools and churches.
And I'm not talking about Coney Island. I'm talking about anywhere. My kid, and I feel that I can speak for the parents. In this school, our children go to school where we live, where we have peace of mind, where 3 o'clock they're home, they're not traveling, and they're walking. And that's the way school is, and always will be for us.
I can't see the sense to my child going on a bus. I don't know where he's going. I don't know anything about that neighborhood. After all, if I spend $60,000 for a home, I certainly am not going to send my kid 17 miles away or whatever.
What if the court says he has to go?
The court says it? Well, he's paying my taxes? Right. He's paying my taxes? I'll move away. I go somewhere